In my little video clip on creativity, I promised to make another one to illustrate how I was creative when I was very young. I was only 20. I was on my first job in London. I'd had to abandon farming, which is what I wanted to do, because I'd had a bad accident and I couldn't go on farming. So I went to London and I joined an advertising agency. And they had a problem. In those days, cinema was very important as a medium of advertising. We didn't have even commercial television when I joined, which was in 1952. We didn't have commercial television, we had cinema. We had 4,500 cinemas in Britain, many of them with 2,000 over seats, many of them showing 2, 3, sometimes 4 times a day. The audiences were enormous. That's part of what kept Britain going during the war. And lots of people still went to the cinema. It was a big medium for any advertiser. And we had advertisers like Cadbury's and Fry's and all sorts of alcohol and lots of other cars and television sets, which were just starting then. So we had many things to advertise in the cinema. And we had a problem. The cinema attendances were highly secret because they were taxable. That was how the government collected tax from the cinemas. So they couldn't be revealed, and there was no way that the market researchers could sample cinemas to find out which was the best attended. The variables were too great. The film showing, the time of the showing, and all these sort of things changed all the time. So there was no way a market researcher could economically do a survey of cinema going to tell us which were the best attended cinemas. That's what we wanted to know. We paid on the seating size, but we didn't get all those seats full. We got a proportion of them. From some cinemas, lots of seats were filled. From others, not so many. How did I solve the problem? I said, we're not really looking for absolute figures here. We're looking for comparisons. And we're looking for comparisons where cinemas are competing with each other. How do cinemas compete with each other? In those days, people had far fewer cars, they didn't travel so much, and cinemas existed in neighbourhoods. They were quite small neighbourhoods, and they usually had between 3 and 8 cinemas in them. There were some which were bigger and some which only had 1 cinema, but most of them had between 3 and 8. And so all we had to do was to define those neighbourhoods. How were they defined? Very simply. They were bounded by rivers, roads, and railway lines. People broadly didn't cross those too much. Of course they did when they went on holiday and sometimes when they went to work. But mostly they stayed in their neighbourhoods. Within the 3 to 8 cinemas in that neighbourhood, how could you find out which was the best attended? I thought of an ingenious way. I went and visited 740 cinema managers, and I took each one of them down to the pub and gave them a couple of pints of beer. And I chatted to them about their competition, not about what they were doing, because they would never have told me the truth. I asked them about their competitors. And I built up a picture of which cinema was doing well, which cinema was doing badly. It was a very clear picture, and we could prove it in 2 or 3 little areas, just to make sure that I wasn't getting it all wrong. On the basis of that, our cinema buying was immensely more successful. Clients liked it, and I had a great supporter in a man called Sir Egbert Cadbury, yes, one of the Cadbury family, who was chairman of the Fry's business in those days. He was also on the board of the Bank of England. And his support and help helped to build my career. A little bit of creativity, it gave me a big advantage. You should have the same.